Hello, Dean Burnett's video diary, day the nth. Don't know. I haven't done one of these for a few days because regular viewers, I think there may be three, I'm not entirely sure, may have noticed that some of the previous videos were a little bit technologically haphazard in that, they just were out of sync or juddery, or several times I'd upload something, then take it down again, and reprocess it and upload it again, just because it wasn't going right. And it came to the point where I realised my laptop was actually pushing 5 years old, which is like 107 in laptop years, isn't it? So I had to get a new one. But of course, when you get a new laptop, well, I'm a Windows user, so I don't know if this applies to Macs, but when you get a new laptop, you have to reinstall everything, get your system back set up, and that took a while. And then I had to do stuff, I actually have work to do as well, and hiccups as well. That was an ongoing thing. And so I reinstalled. Now I'm back with a new laptop with a big screen, because this is my desk laptop. My main one sits here. I also have a laptop for travel in the house. I'm pointing it like you can see it. No one can see it. It's just there. And so now I have a main laptop. This was bigger now, so I can see myself on the screen. I look much wider, which is a bit disconcerting at first, because I'm trying to be a bit healthier, and so I'm trying to lose a bit of weight for the new year, and so I felt like I'd ballooned, but I hadn't. I'm also wearing horizontal stripes, which is apparently bad for that sort of thing. But that's sort of the main interesting thing that's happened recently. As you know, as I've probably mentioned, I write books for a living these days about the brain and its various properties, of which there are many. And it's sort of kind of intriguing in terms of like language and stuff and how it works. Like, for example, here is my first and still most popular book, The Idiot Brain, right? See that? Just a regular book. And recently, for the first time in ages, I got a copy delivered of the Chinese version, The Idiot Brain. I don't know if that's meant to be me, or I don't think they know what it looked like, because fair photos weren't sent. But it's also saran wrapped or whatever. I haven't actually taken it off yet. Polythene, whatever. So like, China was like one of the first countries to buy the rights to translate the book, and I haven't seen it in like nearly 5 years now. Until now, it's been sent, and I think there was some back and forth regarding when they were going to do it, and so on and so on. But technically, it should be all the same words. Like they're not allowed to take my words and put completely different ones in. Like someone said, "Are you sure it doesn't contain subtle messages about the Communist Manifesto?" Well, the original did, so I'd be worried if this one didn't. And it's sort of intriguing me that side by side, the Chinese one is slightly bigger, but look like that. See, the Chinese one much thinner, much slenderer, which even like slightly more height suggests that Chinese language is a lot more efficient, or at least a lot more concise, or you can get more information imparted in smaller text blobs, whatever you would call it. And apparently there is a thing in that short-term memory, which people I've said this a lot before, but it's still quite a fascinating thing that people don't know about. People think of short-term memory as like memories from today or this last week, whereas long-term memories like months or years. It's nowhere near that that broad. Short-term memory is anything like within the last minute or so, if you're lucky, and anything beyond that, that's a long-term memory. It's all to do with the nature of the memory, how it's stored in the brain. Because short-term memory is like patterns of activity, like the froth in your coffee or the sparkler in the air. It's very temporary, it's very transient. But when neurons actually shift around and new connections are made, there's a physical basis for the memory that is long-term memory. And short-term memory, as a result, has a very small capacity, so it can only hold. They currently think now it only holds 4 things. Now, what those things are can be very variable. That's why you can hold like 4 words in your head, but also 4 sentences, try to remember them. Or if you can remember like 4 numbers, but you can also remember a sequence. So like the brain processes these things very differently. But some studies suggest that like people in Japan and China can hold more in their short-term memory than capacities with actually the Welsh people. And largely because our languages are so differently structured. So we think in language, we think in an ordinary context. So a Welsh person who's a Welsh speaker will have a lot of long words to get through. So like the sheer information storage that the brain has to allocate to words for a Welsh speaker is more than for a Chinese or Japanese speaker who have a more concise, more, perhaps arguably more efficient, dense language. That's the argument anyway I've seen. But I hadn't really thought about it much beyond like, oh, it's a nice little curious tidbit until I saw this. And so the same book can take up a lot less space when it's in Chinese. Contrast that with what we have here. Unser wird das Gehirn, the German translation of The Idiot Brain. I didn't even try to pronounce the Chinese one. I can't read it at all. At least it has like the alphanumeric alphabet that I'm used to. Alphanumeric? The Aramaic. The English. This alphabet that I recognise. That's what that is. But for these side by side, you can see the German one much, much denser. And I've actually been told that it's a common problem, it's not the right word, but it's a thing that keeps happening. When you translate a book into German, you almost have to allocate an extra third to the word count. Because German language, very precise, shall we say. There's a lot of, it's kind of long, comparatively long-winded compared to your bog standard English. And, like the German stereotypes for efficiency, I guess that, doesn't quite work there. But it's a common thing. That's why apparently still have struggled to get my book for teenagers and kids translated into German, because it's already quite long, and they say, no, well, that'll just make it longer again. Because you can't have long kids' books, apparently, unless it's Harry Potter, which can run to 7,000 pages, should J.K. Rowling desire it. So just an interesting tidbit about language there. And actually, something quite consistent. I noticed that I put all 4 of my books. So we've got The Idiot Brain, The Happy Brain, Why Your Parents Are Driving Up the Wall, What to Do About It. Very big in Poland right now. Weird. And the new book, out very soon, Psychological. Stack them up. And I don't know if it's my editors. It shouldn't be, because they're from different people all the time. Yeah, pretty much indistinguishable. I don't know what it is about me which makes something about the way I write books seems to make they always end up at this size. Obviously it's to do with printing and formatting, but Faber made Psychological, but originally it was by Audible, so they had a whole different set of parameters. And Why Your Parents Are What About It. It's a penguin/puffin book, a Penguin Random House, sorry. And therefore they wanted, it's a kid's book, but it has lots of illustrations. So it takes up more space. But for some reason, they always end up running to precisely this size. I don't know why that is. It's just something about the way I write books, I guess. I'm not sure if every author has that. I'm sure some have different various sizes. But at least I can promise you'll get your money's worth if you buy one of mine, which you definitely should. This one, especially. It's very relevant right now. And it's coming out in a couple of weeks. So just so you know.